What's good? It's Woog. So we just went over Friday's lineup. Coachella just released the set list finally, way later than usual. I'm used to getting that thing in like midweek of the festival or like even early week of the festival. But yeah, they pretty much held off until late in the game. We pretty much saw some of the reasons why, some of the schedule changes. Obviously, Kanye came out and they were replaced by The Weeknd and Swedish House Mafia for Sunday's headliner. And then, as we learned, Arcade Fire is going to be performing like mid-evening on Friday. But right now we're going to get into Saturday's lineup. And I just want to give some recommendations in terms of like, okay, if you wake up, you get out of your tent, out of your hotel, what are the artists you're going to want to see and what's the order that you want to see them? Like running from one stage to another, how much of that do you want to do and so forth. So we're going to try to make this quick because there's really not too much time to spare. Now, if you have an appetite for, some of the punk rock, what's kind of cutting edge and what's new, there's a band called the Yard Act that performs on 1 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. They're going to be on from 1 to 1:30. So if you want to get out there early, depending on how you feel and how late you stayed up on Friday, you might want to rest up for at least the first few hours well into the afternoon. But if you got the energy to get up, somewhat early and get out there onto the campgrounds and see some acts early, I would recommend checking out the Yard Act at 1 o'clock. And then on that same stage, 2 acts later. So if you want to sit through Beach Goons or leave and come back. But Nilla Fryanya, she had an album called Miss Universe a couple years ago. I actually caught up with her at the Lodge Room in LA and shot video and photo of her set. And, I was always enamored by that Miss Universe album. It kicks off with a song like In Your Head. Kind of alternative rock. She's got a lot of, jazz, pop jazz, kind of like a soft bedroom rock, bedroom jazz, whatever you want to call it. But a combination between that and then with this latest album that she just released a couple months ago, a lot more edgier style rock. So she's a pretty versatile young artist, and I would definitely recommend checking her set out. She comes on at 2:30. So again, that's that same Sonora stage where the Yard Act would have played just a couple artists before. I would recommend seeing Nilla Fryanya. And then one of the conflicts that you're gonna have to kind of make a decision on is either Arlo Parks at 4:50, Japanese Breakfast at 4:40, or the rapper Jid on J. Cole's label at 4. Now, I think that there's a little time for a couple of them. I would actually recommend seeing Jid at the Sahara stage at 4. He's one of these like MCs where he does a lot of like lyrical acrobatics. He's not so much a trap rapper, but he's one of those like just tongue twisters, kind of like Kendrick Lamar like, where you're doing a lot of just mind-blowing, jaw-dropping stuff with how you construct your rhymes, right? Jid is one of those types of rappers. I would check him out at the Sahara stage and then quickly bounce over to the Gobi stage to catch Arlo Parks at 4:50. Japanese Breakfast is pretty much on par, if not even a little bit more popular at this stage than Arlo Parks. They were both up for Best New Artist this past year. And I think they were both up for Best Alternative Music Album. Both Japanese Breakfast and Arlo Parks were nominated this year for that. They're in very similar spots in their career. Japanese Breakfast, however, has had a couple albums already. Arlo Parks just released her debut called Collapse in Sunbeams last year. That was actually one of my top 30 or 40 best albums of 2021. So I would actually watch her over Japanese Breakfast in this case. So I would go from Jid on the Sahara stage. Unfortunately, gonna have to miss Japanese Breakfast and catch Arlo Parks on the Gobi stage. Arlo Parks will be performing from 4:50 to 5:35. So then after that, you got a couple decisions to make. You can either chill out for a minute or you could check out Girl in Red, kind of a new, kind of cool indie artist, indie style, indie pop, indie rock style artist on the Mojave stage. That's the same stage that Japanese Breakfast would have just gotten off from. Or over at the bigger outdoor theater or the biggest Coachella stage, you can either catch Giveon at 5:30 on the Coachella stage or Kuko at 5:50. I actually met Kuko a couple times, like at different events when I was hosting a promotion at our warehouses. We had warehouse spaces, adjacent big 3-story warehouse spaces in South LA on like Manchester and Broadway. But Ham on Everything was one of the promotions that was coming in. And they would have like artists like Kuko and Doja Cat, Post Malone, a whole bunch of new artists that were just breaking at the time. Another one named Father and Key from Atlanta, and an artist from that same label, but an indie style artist. They're mostly rappers, but one of their indie artists named Faye Webster would always be popping up. Lil Peep, when he was alive, would come through a lot and kick it. Kuko was one of the artists that was just starting to emerge at the time. He's from like Hawthorne, California, a couple cities down from here. Again, I'm in Long Beach, California. And speaking of Long Beach, California, Giveon, the other artist I just mentioned, takes the stage at 5:30. Now, Giveon, you might know him from the song Peaches. He was featured on that Justin Bieber song that was nominated for all types of Grammys this past year. But Giveon, he's from Long Beach, California. He actually went to high school less than 2 miles away from here. Long Beach Poly, kind of an iconic school. Always have a phenomenal football team, basketball team, track team. Basically one of the best athletic schools in Southern California. That's where Giveon went to high school. Well, Giveon performs at the Coachella stage at 5:30, but I would unfortunately have to miss him and Kuko because I think I really want to check out either Rina Sawayama, who's going to be performing on the same stage as Arlo Parks after Arlo Parks, but even more so, I think I'm going to bounce from that stage and go check out this hyperpop band called 100 Gex. They perform at 6:10 to 6:50. So you could conceivably see some of Giveon's set and then go over to catch 100 Gex at 6:10, but you're not going to catch the whole set. They're one of these like ultra turn-up bands. Like hyperpop, they call it that for a reason. Like the production style is, anxiety-inducing for some. Maybe seizure-inducing for others. But yeah, I want to see how their energy translates, the energy of their music translates to the festival stage. So again, they come on 6:10 to 6:50. Now after that, there are a couple tough decisions to make. Now you could either see Turnstile at 7. Remember yesterday we wanted to see punk bands like Idols and Amelin the Sniffers. Well, Turnstile is every bit as action-packed as they are. They released a very good album, produced by Mike Elizondo, oddly enough. Look at his background. He was basically producing playing bass on all of the like early Dr. Dre and Eminem, not early Dr. Dre, but the second Dr. Dre album, 2001, and the Eminem Marshall Mathers LP. And you look at Mike Elizondo's catalog in terms of what he's produced or played on, it's basically like the who's who and the what's what of early 2000s rap through the 2010s, basically. Well, he produced this punk rock album from Turnstile, one of the best albums overall of 2021. They perform at 7 o'clock, but 15 minutes after they take the stage, Caroline Polachek, who dropped one of the best albums about 2 to 3 years ago and is about to drop another album probably sometime late this year, she performs at 7:15. She's from the band Chairlift. Chairlift had a few really good indie or Baroque pop, just kind of that. Remember when Feist was first coming out and Ingrid Michaelson was first coming out and Corinne Bailey Rae was first coming out? Well, Chairlift was kind of like that playful indie pop style music. And then they kind of grew into a more dream pop-ish style. Well, Caroline Polachek has since gone solo, dropped a very good album a couple years ago, and she's going to be taking the stage at 7:15. I'm sure she's going to be premiering a lot of her new music. Now, she actually had to get off of tour with Dua Lipa because she injured her ankle or knee or something. I believe she tore her ankle on her tour bus somehow. Had to pull out of, think about that opportunity to get to tour with Dua Lipa. Yeah, she had to pull out of that tour, but she is going to be able to perform apparently at Coachella at 7:15. So I've got a tough decision to make between Turnstile and Caroline Polachek. Now, I think I'm going to go Caroline Polachek over Turnstile because at 8 o'clock, I want to catch this other just super turn up, progressive rock, all kinds of rock, but it's very cutting edge. They're called Black Midi. So I think I want to save some of that energy that I would be spending on Turnstile, kind of relax for a more subdued style of music for Caroline Polachek, and then turn up with Black Midi at 8 o'clock. Basically, as soon as Caroline Polachek is off, or I might even want to leave her set a little bit early, make my way over to the Sonora stage and catch Black Midi from 8 o'clock to 8:50. I feel like that's must see. And then after that, you basically have to make your way over to the main Coachella stage. So you're going to miss the iconic Danny Elfman, who's composed everything from the Beetlejuice soundtrack to the Simpsons music and much, much more. Look at his background. Danny Elfman, going to have to miss him. Going to have to miss that band or the DJ duo Disclosure, who come on at 7:10. Because again, I'm either doing Caroline Polachek or Turnstile. And a lot of this is taste-based. If you're into more EDM style music, by all means, I would definitely recommend Disclosure. But I like indie rock, hip hop, punk rock, stuff like that. So Caroline Polachek or Turnstile, I'm going to do Caroline Polachek. And then Black Midi. And then I'm going to make my way over to the stage where Flume should be wrapping up, because after Flume is going to be Megan Thee Stallion. And then after Megan Thee Stallion is going to be Billie Eilish. The thing about headliners is if you want to get to like decent position, if you don't mind standing like way the hell back and just so far out of everything where you can barely see the stage, by all means, like, you know, take your time and get to the stage when you get to the stage. If you want to try to like finagle your way into somewhat decent positioning for the headliner, I would definitely recommend getting over to that stage at least one artist early, preferably two artists early. Like when I saw Jay-Z headline in 2010 on the Friday night, me, my cousin, my sister, my brother, like we all like went to the front and started getting early, two artists early. So we saw Them Crooked Vultures. It was kind of like a super group rock band that featured John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. And then on that same stage, it was LCD Sound System right around the time they made the album This Is Happening, which was right before that first major retirement, right? So we caught LCD Sound System. They blew our minds. We totally weren't expecting everything they had to deliver, but we caught them and then caught Jay-Z on that same stage. And throughout it all, we're moving closer to the front, closer to the front. So by the time Hove got on, we were in excellent position. If you want any chance at decent position for the Billie Eilish show, I would recommend getting over to that Coachella stage at least like halfway or towards the end of Flume's set. Because again, he's going to be followed by Megan Thee Stallion. You are going to have to wait about a half an hour between the end of Flume and the beginning of Megan Thee Stallion, and then keep on going, try to get, you know, whatever position you can through the Megan Thee Stallion set, and then try to, you know, get in position for Billie Eilish after that. Because chances are the crowd is already going to be forming by the time Megan Thee Stallion takes the stage. They're already going to be gathering around because they know the deal. They're trying to get in early to get good position for the Billie Eilish set. If you want to do the same, again, I would recommend getting over there sometime during Flume's set. So yeah, that's how I would play it. And then after that, if you want to catch some like trap, you know, popular rap after that, 21 Savage is going to be on the Sahara stage starting at just after midnight, 12:05. Or, you know, you could try to, no, you're going to have to miss like Floating Points, Isaiah Rashad, Hot Chip. Damn, and you're going to have to miss Freddie Gibbs? No way. Oh man. Oh, that's tough. I might have to get bad positioning for Billie Eilish in that case. I would Bandana, one of Freddie Gibbs and Madlib's two seminal albums. The first one was Pinata, and Freddie Gibbs has a great catalog beyond that, and his producer for those two albums, Madlib, has his own deep catalog. He's one of the most iconic underground backpack style experimental hip hop producers of the past like 30 years. Seriously, Madlib is an iconic producer, and he basically comes out of like near retirement every so often to take on a project he truly believes in. He's now done that twice with the rapper from Gary, Indiana, Freddie Gibbs, one of the more controversial rappers, one of the more interesting and just aggressive sounding, and just one of the best, one of my favorite rappers over the past like 10-15 years, starting with like straight Killer No Filler and then Cold Day in Hell. From then on, he was just killing it. Like, listen to Freddie Gibbs albums. He takes no shorts, no losses. So yeah, I would be hellbent on catching Freddie Gibbs at 9:35 and would maybe leave that one a little bit early to have to catch. Yeah, by that time, the crowd is already developed on the Coachella stage, and you're basically out of action. You're going to have to just take what you could get on that main stage if you want to see Billie Eilish, right? Because you're going to have to leave the Freddie Gibbs show, which, again, if you really want to see Freddie Gibbs, see Freddie Gibbs. I'm in that camp. I would actually sacrifice positioning for the headliner to see some of Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. And even before that, if you want to try to catch a moment in hip-hop, Brockhampton performs at 8:25 to 9:15. So remember that whole Caroline Polachek over Turnstile thing, followed by Black Midi? Well, after Black Midi, get over to the Yuma stage, I believe, or no, the Sahara stage to catch Brockhampton. It's a really good rap group over the past 10 years. They basically announced that they are disbanding after this Coachella performance. So several months ago, they announced their retirement, went on one last hurrah, one last tour, and it's going to end with this Coachella performance. So this is going to be the last that anybody can see of Brockhampton as a collective. So if you leave that Black Midi set at 8:50, you could catch the towards like the last 15, 20 minutes, basically the closing portion of the final Brockhampton concert. So yeah, you might want to do that and then get over to try to catch the end of Flume before Megan Thee Stallion and then Billie Eilish. So that's how I would play it on Saturday. Let me know what you think about that.